Yo, what's going on, guys? Look, it's Tristan here, back with another video today, back from my hiatus, and today I have something very special. I am finishing what I started off, and that is the Krash League Finals. It is me finally coming back, and I want to show this game instead of just leaving what was the semifinals in there. So don't say I didn't record because I lost, because we don't know. I'm going to record even if I did lost this one. But this is for two reasons. One, and probably the more important one to me when it comes into the grand spectrum of things, is I want to check my audio, because I did like an hour video for something else with my good friend Kingsicle, but when I looked over the audio, I ended up sounding like I was talking through a fan for about all of it. And so it seemed like it fixed itself after I unplugged it, did the work with it, but I don't want to risk anything, so I'm going to use this at least as a test run for me. We see I have a team builder set up here with my team in the corners right here, and my team right here. I'll probably run through this, then I'll pause the video, or I'll jump cut and I'll go right to the game just to make sure I can check my audio, because I want to make sure that I don't have another audio mishap like I did in that video and lose over an hour's worth of footage. So just with that being said, keep that in mind. The second most important reason why I'm doing this is to, again, finish off where I started, and that's something I didn't get to do, and I really feel I really should. So I'm really excited to at least give you guys this conclusion to what this league has done for me, because this league basically just boosted up all of my confidence in myself, because I joined and I went undefeated. Granted, I got like a forfeit win and I got a win via my friend subbing in for me, so I'm glad that I got a win from him, that I didn't have to take a loss that way. Then I came back and I still won, and we went to playoffs and I didn't get the higher seed, which is weird. I just remember that it's not okay. It wasn't okay to me. I felt hurt by it, but whatever. I'm not gonna be a complainer about it too much. But necessarily, made it through playoffs, beat the 2 seed, beat the 1 seed, and now I am here in the playoffs, and it is time, or in the playoffs, in the championships. I was just in the playoffs. Championship game. This is what we've been all expecting, what we've all been wanting here. And yes, I do have it here, but I want to probably jump over here to my spearmint first. And what we see here, my team, if it just a little refresher for all those that may have forgotten it, I had the Zygarde, Latios, Skizor, Shaman, Blaziken, Ninetales, Alola, Uxie, Electrode, Prinplup, Gyarados, Mega Gyarados, and the Dragonium Z, while my opponent, CMR, someone that also joined the league very late, but ended up getting playoffs. I don't know. I don't agree with that decision, but I mean, I guess why not? Who cares? So he basically had to remake his team going into playoffs. So he has a very scary team of Tapu Koko, Mew, Excadrill, Toxapex, Tangrowth, Gigalith, Glalie, Lickitung, and Charizard X with the Electrium Z. So something I wanted to touch on with this team is that he could go a couple different ways. He could be sand offense. He could have the bulky stuff with Mew, Toxapex, Tangrowth, and Gigalith, and Lickitung. Like, he could be that. He could go almost straight offense. It's like he had a very scary team that could go multiple ways, and I needed to prep for it properly. And I thought that I did make the best 6, maybe minus my Shaman. I'll go into it later, and a little bit of it, but nonetheless, I'm going to go into what I thought of going through my games. And yes, I'm able to do that even though it's over 3 months after this, because I remember it pretty well, actually. I'm actually really excited for it. So nonetheless, I started off with Latios here, Spearmint, Dragonium Z, Draco, Calm Mind, Sidekick, and Shadow Ball. When it came to this set, I felt that a Calm Mind destroyed his team. Like, no matter what, there's nothing that really could have switched into it that well. The best thing is Lickitung. So I actually expected Lickitung I semi-expected Lickitung in that case. Very Spadef, and maybe an AV Tangrowth to handle my Spearmint. And so basically Draco in Psychic after a Calm Mind or two is uh, very much able to take them both out. And Shadow Ball for that Mew because I needed something to hit them, especially without causing me to go -2, so he could just roost up if he is defensive. Moving on to the next Mon, EVs isn't really anything special, just max special attack, speed enough to speed creep a Charizard X, and I felt like Spadef would help me out more when it came to certain mons. So that's basically that. Going on to the Sleeper, Uxie. I miss you, Uxie. Rocky Helmet, Foul Play, Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Reflect. This was primarily for, in every case of the word, this was for Mega Charizard X because I was not losing to it. This was for Excadrill because I was not losing to that. Like, I was gonna make sure that I could take stuff out. Nothing was setting up on me, and if they do set up on me, like Swords Dance and the Dragon Dance, then I could hit them with a Foul Play and do so much damage it's likely to just take them out. Anyway, Stealth Rock to get those rocks up against Charizard X because that's the biggest threat, and everything else, just Chip isn't in general really good. Knockoff was to get items off, especially with stuff such as probably leftovers, Toxic Packs, Tangrowth, get an AV off if possible, and basically if anything else was going to come in, getting a knockoff off was going to be really a key asset to what I wanted to do. And Reflect, this was a little bit of an iffy choice. I wanted Reflect because I wanted to make sure that I was not going to be swept on the physical side. And yeah, I probably could have done something else here, maybe like Psychic or Toxic Effects or something. I don't know. I kind of stand by my decision on Reflect. And nonetheless, that's just my Uxie set here. Just nothing different here. Just making sure I don't lose. Then we go to Skizzy Stardust, a pretty different set than usual. Usually I would run Life Orb or Choice Band or so. I ran Octoberry twice versus Bash. But nonetheless, this is my Lumberry Skizzy Stardust with Technician, of course, rocking Bullet Punch, Swords Dance, Superpower, Knockoff. This was basically for anything I needed to be because I was actually kind of scared that he would bring his Glalie, and I'm like, wait, look at my team. I have Zygarde, I have Latios, I have Shaman, like even Freeze Dry for Prinplup and Gyarados. I could have ended up doing some or losing some, so this was actually very mainly for Glalie, but I realized, or I didn't realize, but I noticed that I could also use this for something like a Tapu Koko Deterrent. I could use it as a very threatening mon versus stuff like Excadrill and Gigalith and some variants of Tangrowth depending on how far I'm able to get against it. And Knockoff is just for general coverage because I know a likely switch in is going to be something like the Gigalith or maybe a Mew or even Toxapex in this kind of case. Superpower was obviously also for Excadrill, Gigalith, and something to hit Mega Charizard X very hard after he Mega Evolved. So that's basically that. Moving on to my Chia, my Shaman. We have Cobra Berry, Max for HP defense, and then we have Earth Power, Sea Flare, Sleep Talk, and Rest. This was basically a way of not losing to Tapu Koko, some variants of it rather. Don't lose to Tapu Koko and don't lose to Excadrill, because when it came down to it, I didn't want to be Sand Swept because that was very scary to me. But I mean, even though I still found I could have some stuff that could deter it away, I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about that kind of stuff. Because when I looked at the team, rather, I would say that I knew Tapu Koko, Mew, Charizard X, Glalie, or not Glalie, but Lickitung, and then it's whether he wanted to go offensive or defensive. And I thought if he went defensive, that I could just take the time and set up on him with stuff like my Mega Gyarados and Zygarde. So I didn't really feel that he would go super defensive. I didn't really see the reason why. But nonetheless, this was just to make sure that if he goes a more offensive spread of a team, that I'm able to check his sand at least. So nonetheless, going over to my Zygarde, 50 cent the Zygarde, choice band, extreme speed, 1,000 arrows, outrage, toxic. I just hit everything as hard as possible because that is what I needed to do. Toxic is for the Tangrowth and the Mew, most rather, if for anything that's coming in on this thing. And yeah, that's basically about it. You know, just hardest hitting moves I could use. If Tapu Koko is done, then Outrage just cleans up after that. So going over to probably my most proud set I actually made for this game is my Blaziken, Kenny Blaziken Life Orb with Blaze, Flare Blitz, Side Jump Kick, Knockoff, Vacuum Wave, and look at this very unique spread here. And with this spread, I have, what I wanted to do was make sure I could hit as hard on the physical side as possible, yet I didn't want to lose to Excadrill, I didn't want to lose to Glalie. And so what I basically ended up doing was I made this set for Vacuum Wave to come in if I needed it to hit as hard as possible, really, because like even though it's base 40, it's still coming off stab, it's base 110 modest, like with a Life Orb, it's going to be hitting hard. So I know, like, even after a good amount of chip on stuff like Excadrill, if it's around like 80% or so, Vacuum Wave's gonna knock it out. Same with kind of stuff like Glalie, if it's at like 75, Vacuum Wave's gonna knock it out. Gigalith, if it's like, it depended because High Jump Kick and Vacuum Wave kind of did the same amount, so it didn't really matter in that case. But nonetheless, I was really proud of this set, and I didn't feel I need any speed because his speed tiers were such as like 130, 100, 188, and stuff like that. So basically, if the only thing I would try to outrun is maybe a speed tie with a Glalie, but even then it wasn't even worth it really, because I have stuff like Vacuum Wave, High Jump Kick, and Flare Blitz. He would not want to stay in most of the time against it. So that's basically my solution for, or my kind of thinking with this. So basically that was my team here. I'm gonna go through this real fast to let you see if you do so want to. So basically that is the team, and I'm gonna cut right here and make sure I go right to the replay for you guys. So see you guys there. And we are back with the actual replay of the championships now. I hope you guys are excited for this. I know I was, and I was really feeling the nerves going through my hands and my whole body, rather, not just my hands, going through this game, or going into this game rather. Look at me, I'm a nervous wreck just trying to talk about the game, and this was months ago. But nonetheless, when it comes down to it, this was my first championship game ever, so obviously the nerves were there for me. And when I look at this team, I'm gonna end up being a little bit surprised about what he ended up bringing. I didn't really think he would bring Tangrowth or some variants of Tangrowth. I didn't really think he'd bring Toxapex or some kind of Lickitung, because I felt if he brought those two mons that I was going, if I brought Mega Gyarados, I could have brought like a sub DD, and I would have just been able to clean him up, and it would have been a really fast game from there. But with this, he did actually prop properly, I would say, in terms of knowing that I did have stuff like Uxie, Shaman, Skizor, and Blaziken that really deterred the sand offense, especially with stuff as well as Gyarados that I could get the Intimidate off. So basically that, I knew that Tangrowth was probably coming. I knew Charizard X was coming. I knew Mew and Tapu Koko were coming for sure. And so I knew Lickitung was coming as well, because that's his only kind of special wall that he had other than the AV Tangrowth. So that he could have brought, which I was kind of expecting, especially for stuff like the Latios and anything else on my team, rather. So basically, when I look at this team, first thing I know is that I want to end up hitting the rocks up first. So that's what I end up doing. I go to my Uxie, and he brings out his Charizard, and I don't want to mess with this at all. So I just click Reflect, turn 1. I take a little bit from Dragon Claw. He takes Rocky Helmet. I'm not. I'm almost getting as much damage off it on him as he is on me. Especially look at that, 14 and 16. That's just a little bit sad. So I'm gonna take this turn to get my rocks up rather. And so he's gonna switch out. I'm gonna go for foul play because I don't want him trying anything funny. And with that, we have him doing that. I go for knockoff rather, and to get that AV off this Tangrowth. He brought Brick, obviously expecting my Aurora Veil to be around, and this actually really helped with getting the getting the reflect any screens off my side of the field. So that was good prep on him. Now this part, I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't really do too much because I didn't have something to knock him out from this range. Foul play would have done 16 to him, and he would have been able to do anything else. I thought that he was going to switch out and preserve, maybe go into the Toxapex rather for this, because I believe my whole set was revealed with this. So I thought Toxapex or really anything else could have been a better switch in here. But so I go into my Latios as he goes into, or he doesn't go into anything, he just goes for knockoff, but it did nothing. So I'm going to take this time to Calm Mind up because I know that I could take anything from him. And Lickitung comes in. I know that it's going to be especially bulky, and I just thought that nothing really could hurt me here. So especially from this thing, like I didn't know what it wants to do. If it had Dragon Tail, which I don't know if it did, like something I want to say is I don't know any of the sets from XCMR here because we didn't talk after the game, so that's a little kind of a sneak preview into what ended up happening. I don't know, you'll see what I mean later. But really with this is I wanted to see what he would do because I didn't think that he could really do anything against my Latios, especially at +1 defense or special defense. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna go for Psychic. It absolutely chewed for one, but for another it's like, okay, when we see he goes for Ice Beam, it did 18. It's not going to do anything. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going to Psychic again. I was debating whether going for Dragonium Z or not because I felt I could have saved it for the Mew, which I thought was a very valid reason to not use my Dragonium Z and knock this thing out immediately. I didn't want to go for regular Draco because if I did that, then I would have been at -1. Special attack, and he could have gone into something else and just taken advantage of that, especially something like the Mew. So I didn't really want to risk that kind of stuff. And so what I did, I went for a Psychic. I got the crit, and that's really unfortunate because he should have lived the role, I believe. But even more so, that is actually much more unfortunate for me because now we see that he brings in this Tapu Koko, and I thought about this turn for a little bit, and what I end up coming out to was with my Spadef bulk and being at +1, U-turn doesn't kill me, nothing on the physical side killed me whatsoever, not even a Z wild charge, nothing like that. But the only way he killed me on the other side, on the specialty side, is if he was Specs Tapu Koko, and even that was a roll, I believe. I don't really think it was in my favor, but I was thinking to myself, I looked at the team, I'm like, I don't think he would be Specs, would he? And so I did a kind of rookie move here, and I stayed in, but he does reveal that he is Specs, and basically my thought process was, if he wasn't Specs, then I could have just taken out something, I could have taken out another thing just as huge to the game, and what ended up happening did not work in my favor, and that really just hurt me. And because now I see that I lose something to take out a really bulky Mew, I lose something to take out Toxapex, really wear down the Tangrowth. It's like I lose a lot by losing this Latios. That was a terrible play by my part. A very good prep on his part though, knowing that he could be able to do that. I go into my Skizzy Stardust here, and I go for the Swords Dance, predicting him to switch out, especially knowing that he was locked into Choice Specs. So I go for the knockoff here because I will just want these item off the talk specs no matter what, and it absolutely ate it. And now I'm gonna have to eat a skull. I get crit and I get burned, but luckily that lumberry comes in. I'm so happy to see that kind of prep go through. So I'm gonna switch out here and go into my chia pet, feeling this was the best thing I could do on the haze. I did not think that he would just be straight up haze, but he just went for it right there, so I'm okay with it. Maybe he was predicting another, what is it, a Swords Dance, which is a really good play in hindsight. So basically that was really good of him to do that. I did not want to risk the Scald Burn whatsoever, because I knew that Bullet Punch was my biggest deterrent for the Tapu Koko at this point, and I wasn't going to risk it whatsoever. So basically I go into my Shaman here, I take a knockoff, getting rid of my Clover Berry, which in hindsight I didn't need anymore, because knowing that his Coco was specs and that I did not need to take Brave Bird from it anymore. So what I go for is I go for the Seed Flare, predicting something to come in. And so I get the Spadef drop, which means he has to switch, but I'm going to go straight for another Seed Flare here. I'm not going to risk anything as I hit the Mew for 33% damage, and it does a lot. Then we're going to see that he goes for the Ice Beam while I just go for another Seed Flare, and it takes him down to 27%, and he goes up to 33, of course, and naturally now he can go back in this Tangrowth, get regen, as he's able to eat these hits. And so I decided to go into my Blaziken, and I did not predict this, rather. I went to Blaziken predicting something, I don't know what. It wasn't a good prediction though, really, because it just, I thought, I don't know why I made this prediction, but I really end up being lucky. And what we see here is a very weird predicament, because I see I'm not going to live any hit from the Charizard. That is obvious, and that really scared me in the terms of the game. And basically it's like, okay, this Charizard, if it's Flare Blitz and Dragon Claw, what else is it going to have? I felt that Roost was a very big yes on this team, or on this Charizard for his team rather. And with my Blaziken, I felt that I couldn't let him just take this opportunity and Roost up, because if he did, my Uxie, he knows my Uxie set, and he could get around it now, which I did not want him to do whatsoever. So I wanted to use this time. He goes for the Roost, thankfully, and I go for the high jump kick. And what we see here is, so he did a lot. Now at this point it's like, okay, he knows I'm Life Orb. He's at 26, he'll live 1, but then that means that he can't take anything else, especially even from my Shaman, which would probably be the best thing to come in on, or even my Skizor, which would even be even better. And so basically what I felt is he was going for the Dragon Claw here to take me out for sure, because if he did that, that means that he takes away a big threat to his Tangrowth, and in turn with that I lose something that could actually help out in the late game. But what I decide to do here is I click that Vacuum Wave, and it takes out the Charizard, and I was so thankful. And now we see the Mew, and again, this Mew, it showed leftovers. It's a bulky Mew. There's no way that this Mew does not have recovery, and I felt at this point, if I did not click knockoff here, that I just lost so much momentum in this game, especially because my Mew kind of provisions are very low, especially if he has Will-O-Wisp for stuff like my Skizor, if I try to get up to +2 and bullet punch it down or something like that. Like, I did not have the right provisions to try to take it out. So going hard, knowing Vacuum Wave does not take it out, unfortunately, I felt this was my overall best play. This is championships, this is where the big plays are made. So he goes for the soft boil, and I get the knockoff off, and he loses leftovers, and he thinks that he could he thinks he could Roost off again, but that is not happening, because I could Vacuum Wave him and he goes down. And that was not a roll or anything, because I was just able to, I believe the roll was 12%, and he was at 10% obviously, and this Kenny set is doing the absolute finest against him. And now what we see here is Tapu Koko. Now, I kind of misplayed here. I don't really know. I felt confident about this in my mind, rather. But I didn't want anything to take a hit, really, because I felt that Uxie was still kind of useful, even though it really wasn't in any kind of terms. My Shaman wasn't really going to do much, really. Uh, Zygarde was not going to live a Dazzling Gleam. I did not want my Skizzy Stardust to take my Skizor. I did not want that to take a Dazzling Gleam. So I felt the best was to just go for another Vacuum Wave, because what I see here with this chip is that I could go into Skizor, and if, assuming that he makes the same plays that he did before, as he switches out then switches back in, that puts him in range of a regular Bullet Punch, a neutral Bullet Punch from my Skizor, and that is what I need, what I felt I needed for making sure that he is basically neutralized as a Mon, and it also put him in range of my Zygarde E-Speed. So I felt that was the best amount of plays. I let my Kenny go down. You did the finest work, Kenny. So I bring in my Skizzy Stardust, and again, I'm going to go for Bullet Punch here, I believe, because I didn't want to risk anything. And so I go for the Swords Dance here as he goes for the Recover, and I'm going to go for Knockoff here. My terms of plays that I was thinking with this is, no matter what, I was just going to keep on knockoffing, and if he burned me in a Scald, then I was just going to keep on Swords Dancing. I was going to knock off, because I needed this thing low, because if I didn't have this thing low, then it could just ruin the game for me. And especially I need it around 48%, because that's just where, or around, yeah, I would say around 48% or so. Like, I need it right here, because that's where I'm able to come in with Zygarde. If he's scared out of this Toxapex is predicting me to go 1,000 arrows, my idea was that I was going to come in with my Zygarde. I was going to E-Speed, predicting the Tangrowth come in, and with the Tangrowth where it was at and how it would take the rocks damage, it was not going to take 2 E-Speeds. And basically nothing on his team at the time would have taken 2 E-Speeds in a row, especially even if he switched out back into Toxapex, because he would take a lot of damage through the E-Speeds that I do not think that he would have lived in those cases as well. So basically that was my case. I felt really confident about it, but what we see here is I do not get burned, thankfully. And that crit, I want to talk about that crit because I did the math here. That was a 1 out of 16 roll to crit, or high roll rather. So that was the highest roll I could possibly get, and I just want to point that out, like, highest possible roll. We see 145 out of 303. The highest possible roll I could have got was 146, and so basically I got the highest roll possible, 1 out of 16. Then multiply that by the 4.125 chance, I think it is, or 125 chance to get a crit. All in all, my chances to do that turn right there was less than 1%, and it was huge, because as we see here, without a doubt, Bullet Punch is cleaned up, and that is game over. That is GG. That is the championship win under my belt. And what I could say is, I know it's like, oh, the crit helped you so much, and damn right it did. But when I look at it, it's just like I'm able to see it, and it's like I felt that I had the tools necessary to finish off the game and still come out with the W, because I felt my team was prepped properly and I was going to be able to do it no matter what. And so I felt that was amazing, and my emotions after this, I was shocked at first because I couldn't believe the crit. And then after, it's just like I tried to reach out to CMR here. I told him GG, I apologize. I heard nothing from him, and it was a little upsetting, but I get it. I get it. I don't really know. Whatever. But nonetheless, when the smoke cleared, Skizzy Stardust, the one who got us our first win of the season, when we first joined, he cleaned up what it was Jimmy's team, and with it the Kieran Black Lando T combo. He cleaned up that. He cleans up the end of the game for me, and it's just like, it's so relieving to finally get a championship under my belt after everything that I've been through, especially since what this. Okay, so little secret here. If I can't lower this actually. I can't do that either. Oh, so okay, so this replay was uploaded April 21st of 2018. I started playing the league format in about October of 2015. It almost took me 3 years to get a championship under my belt, and yet this felt so good to finally get. And it, like, just this league has helped my confidence so much, and it's really been great. It was a really well ran league by Krash, or by Bashing Crypto. You know, I'm just gonna call him Krash. But unfortunately, I do want to say that the league is not alive. I'll just say that very much. It is very much dead, and there might be a future of Krash. Who knows? But for what I know, like, this was done April 21st, and it's it's August 2nd right now. There has been nothing in the works of getting Krash back up on its feet. And as far as it lies, I'm Krash's first and only champion. But I'll take it none the least. Krash was amazing to be in. I'm so happy to get the opportunity, and especially to show you, being from recording these games, that I was able to show you what I was able to do. It was just really an amazing experience, and that's really all I really have to say. Thank you to Bash and Crypto for getting me in the league. Thank you anyone who's watching this that stuck through my first videos through the season, and especially watching this one here, especially with this return. And really, that is all I have to say. I thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and above all else, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.